Hi guys, welcome to your module on your sales and marketing. My name is Marcelo Pompa and this is Cinza. We'll be taking you through this module. As you see, if we go to slide 2, and we will be indicating the slides that we are going to be using so that you know where we are in the course and you don't get lost. So if you do go to slide 2, we cover the content. You'll see that it's actually made up of 3 parts, the course. And the reason for that is, we jointly felt that rather than just explain sales and marketing, you need to look at your business, the creation of your business. We've been through this process, and I've been very fortunate to build small startups, lucky to have listed it, sold it on, moved into smaller businesses, and over this period, over the last 18 months, although Mind Your Media has been around a while, we restructured and restarted this business, and that's why we thought it was important to add a section, a part, to the course that will allow you to see actually how easy but relevant it is to set up a business during this period, and that also in terms of if you just follow those rules, that actually the foundation that it leaves you with, and you'll see when we get to the next slide, that actually will provide a lot of ticking the boxes when you can actually, if you keep that foundation right and get the business running, the rest of the stuff, what you're actually good at doing, you can actually focus on that. And these other areas make it quite simple on how to actually execute your business.
Well, just what to focus on there in part 1 is it's creating the foundation, as it says there, that will then be marketed. And what we emphasize here is that if you don't have that foundation, it's a bad thing, because you don't want to be marketing something that isn't functioning at its best.
Yeah.
Because that would just lead to even more problems.
So please take a note of that. It's a nice sort of checkbox for yourself to build. And then we'll go to part 2 where we look at marketing, again looking at the content that we're specifically homing on online marketing, because it's so targeted, relevant and cost effective for us, for you to get those quick returns in terms of getting to the right audience, the right customer, and converting them into sales. Third part expands on taking marketing, or what is a function of marketing is sales. And we talk to the pipeline, and I also take a little bit of a different approach on how we do that, and also the difference between what is pitching and closing. Very 2 different mindsets. So let's get going. So enjoy part 1. If we look at slide 3, what I like about this slide specifically, if you look at it, it's so different in terms of how generally businesses are structured to you to look at. We look at a strong foundation, like as if you're building a home. You need that strong foundation. Most of that admin and support services, like a home, you don't see that foundation. These are people like yourself. Yeah, you are starting off. As you grow, you'll get people who do these services, but those are functions that need to be in place, and we'll unpack each of these little blocks. The top 3 are, if you look at the process from the left, I'm starting a sales process. I sign it, I move across to the execution implementation, what I call the honeymoon period, and then the retention period. We do allude to the sales period being the hunter, the guy who gets the deal, and the retention period is looking after your client, the farming, looking after your land, etc. So let's move on. Let's start by looking at that lower layer, the admin and support services. Then Chintz will read those points. We are now on slide 4. And where necessary, we'll engage. We want to keep it very informative. We will at times discuss things between the 2 of us as well. So enjoy. Let's have a go.
So marketing a company without a solid foundation can lead to problems down the line. So what we say is don't build on sand. So that goes back to the introductory point. So you know why you're creating a startup, but how do you go about doing this? It's again, you've got your business, but laying down the foundation, making sure that's solid is very important. So this is the how. So in the 20s, which just think about it.
We are in the 20s.
We're in the new 20s. Okay. It isn't as difficult as it used to be because of the digital age. So the first step, let's go. First, get an accountant, someone you trust.
Yep.
Register your company with the CRPC. The accountant can do this, and it's all online.
Yeah.
You'll need to supply the shareholder details, percentages, business, address, etc. Register your online company domain, like for example, nuco.co.za.
I know, and please, these little points, as I said, make them. You'll have the course material. There'll be checkpoints for you.
It's a checklist, yeah.
And already, to really emphasize that we're talking to online. Literally, when we looked at setting up Mind Your Media, we at no time did I have to sit face to face with anybody. You do, because you do want to sit with the accountant, but I'm going to emphasize all of this can be done via.
And we had to do that because of COVID.
Because of COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
So carrying on to slide 5, yeah.
Design your corporate identity, logo, fonts, etc., the colors. The keyword there is identity. So this is what your business is going to be going forward. Usually this is already there when you've started your business. You have an idea, but just make sure that it is established, that it really is communicating who you are, who your business is going forward, because you're not going to change this very often. No. Or ever. Or
have the chance to, because you get so busy.
Exactly. And that's a fun part of it as well, to really establish yourself. Then you create your online presence by finding an agency. Obviously, a lot of the time, it has to start off with you. But then later on, you're actually going to find that it's better to have an agency or a person, at least in the beginning, to do these things for you, because you're actually too busy doing your actual business. So you would find a person or agency to design and develop your website and move it online. I say start simple there, because what we've seen with some clients as well is that they try to think way too big immediately.
Build a Ferrari. No, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Build a minimal viable product.
But it looks good. Yeah. It looks professional.
Yeah.
And that keeping it simple and designing it to go forward really does help you create a great online presence. You really establish yourself as like dressing nicely for your job interview. Create your social channels, example, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Some things to consider there and discuss is whether it's the right platform.
We'll get to that when we talk to that, Charles. Really, these are the checkpoints. Let's go.
And then get your online accounting system. Your accountant will assist you here. Sage in the cloud, QuickBooks, that sort of thing.
Again, it's all online. That's why we stress it. And again, in terms of those costs, don't concern yourself around that. Normally when you are setting up, either you've got someone that will assist you in funding, but these are key things.
Because
they are fundamental. Exactly.
Yeah, you can't. I know it's tempting to just want to go ahead, but having those things solid, it helps you so much later when you're going to get busy after marketing.
Yeah. So slide 6, we continue. Yep.
Create your presence in the world. Sign up to either G Suite from Google or Microsoft 365. This will allow you to have email addresses for you and your staff, which increases your credibility. We understand Gmail is great for everyone, but when your business only has a Gmail account, it's like, okay, well, we know that you're just starting out.
Yeah, yes. And when we say that, because you've created, as we said, your domain, your website, you use that. So it will be, your name normally at your company, nuco.co.za. That makes you much more respected out there.
You're established.
You're established, Create, edit, so this allows you, the suite allows you to carry on there.
Create, edit documents, spreadsheets, presentations. That's your practicality. This is your equipment. And these days, you can't run a business without some sort of computer, some sort of system.
And the last point is very, very relevant.
Yes, exactly. Especially save them all in the cloud. So you're saving your collateral, your documents, your spreadsheets, all of that in the cloud, because carrying that device around is it's a liability.
Absolutely.
It's dangerous.
So that's the key thing. I mean, in essence, the way we function, you could literally take any of our devices. We've got no data on any of the devices, and that's the way the world. I actually saw today that Microsoft released Windows in the cloud. Yeah. So you can, this is exactly what's happening. So
the internet is really key, and luckily the government and everything is we're getting closer to better data.
Yeah, data speeds, etc. And data is becoming more like a right than a cost. Okay. So moving on to 7 and carrying on. So carry on. Since you read.
More practicalities: apply for your business bank account, contact your bank's business department and ask them to send you the application forms. You'll need to have your company registration done before you can apply for a business account, which is kind of obvious. It's part of it.
Hint.
Yeah. Hint, make sure that once you filled in all the info, you ask your business banker to review the completed documents to ensure you've completed them correctly. This is from our experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just get them to tick the boxes.
We had a couple rounds where it's like, listen, you haven't put
and
this
we
in
think
right.
we knew what we were doing.
Yeah,
we
we
used
were
to have
like,
issues,
Yeah.
The banker will,
Your banker will give you training on how to use your online banking.
Yep. Let's move on to the next slide 8. Yep.
Okay, then ask your accountant about the tax you'll have to pay for your employees, obviously if you have them. Most of the time you're starting off with just yourself, but these are considerations. So your PAYE, they will apply to SARS to get you registered. A tedious process with any sort of registration, but they do it for you and it's easy.
Yes,
they do it for you.
Yeah. That's not what you want to do your business. You know what to do. They know what to do for you.
That's why those
That's a foundation. Important. And then lastly, after 3 months.
After trading for 3 months and invoicing more than 50,000, yes, come on, you can apply for a VAT number.
Yeah, VAT number in essence does also give credibility as well to the business. You know, you've been around. So I know that you actually don't need to a lot of the time apply for that, but keep that in mind. It's actually a good thing to have.
And it's often required, depending on the business. It's often required for
Some
your
businesses
clients.
require you. Yeah, it's a point. It's a good point. Moving on to slide 9. Really, so you'll see it as we go through different sections. We provide a summary slide as well. So let's summarize it. Yeah.
Okay. So marketing a business that has no foundation is not a good idea. You don't want to snowball out of control.
I think that's the point we made in these things. If you just follow those few checkpoints, and you'll see that you'll be ready to then say, well, that's my foundation, now let me execute.
And I think to emphasize there as well is that it's not going to be perfect, of course, but business is not, I'm sure you know that, it's not just going to be easy, but the point is you are putting in the structures that will help you make it less difficult.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So get all the above in place and remember these simple rules to ensure you can manage the day-to-day execution of your business. Cash flow. Incoming cash, what your clients owe you. Outgoing cash, what you owe your suppliers. Internally, pay your staff and yourself, of course. And you have to pay SARS, PAYE, and VAT.
So, I like that. I mean, and the last bullet is actually relevant. Cash flow is king, not cash. So it is about managing money coming in, money going out, and internally, what are those things? It really is, if you simplify it, that's how simple it is. Okay, so let's move on to our first pillar. Now we've got the foundation that's running. So what do? We need sales. So let's start talking that. Remember, we're going to unpack sales in its own part, in part 3. This is just giving a bit of a taster towards that, okay?
Also, just something to consider here, because we talk a lot about services and clients and presenting and proposal. We know that obviously not every business is about that. There's sales in terms of literally selling a product.
We'll explain that.
But these principles are applied across all kinds of business. And a lot of the time, you can consider a product a service because a product solves a problem for someone. So just keep that in mind. It's not that it's only services. This is for business itself. And that's why there's sales in services, service businesses. Okay, so pillar 1 of your business is the sales. Built upon your foundation. This is an introduction. There we go. Defining the hunter. They thrive on the challenge of meeting potential leads and converting them into long-term clients by understanding and meeting their immediate needs.
Okay, so in this mode, you've got to be someone that likes to get out there. You like to look at look at people's challenges and convert them into solutions. But as I said, we'll expand on that. But just a brief introduction. The hunter's a different mindset. You're in you're hunting. You're looking to see what is the issue. How can I help people? Okay.
And later on,
we'll expand on that.
The hunter, the farmer, all of these are mindsets.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's especially you starting out, you're going to have to be all of these people. So preparing your sales pitch. It's not about you. It's all about your customer. Hint, focus on getting as much info about your clients and their pain points, and focus your pitch on addressing their needs now, so that your client or your customer, same thing.
If ever there's one piece of advice, it's that. It's not about you, it's really about them. It's always looking at their needs and showing the empathy that you understand their business need. That's the takeaway out of this particular slide. Moving on to slide 12.
So preparing to close that deal.
Different mode, eh? We've been in the hunter mode, the sales mode, now we're closing. Okay.
But you're still a hunter. You need you need to make the kill. So what is the difference between pitching and closing? During the pitch phase, you're building trust that you and your team are able to deliver, you and your product are able to deliver. During the closure phase, you're done with selling and are addressing any objections that the client may have. So objections would be issues, or questions.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we give some examples. Can I change the payment plan?
Do you have a discount?
Timelines, etc. So those are closure issues. They are not selling. You're done with that. It's important.
This is negotiating.
The trust is there. This is negotiating. Okay. So really, the last bullet really is stop selling and close. Very different mindset. Okay. Be confident at that phase. Yeah. They expect that. People would expect it. Put yourself in their position. You do the same. So we've now got the sale. We're going to our second pillar. And we're all happy. It's the honeymoon period. You've seen us stated as that. Let's break that down a little bit.
Okay. The execution or implementation phase is the honeymoon period, where both parties are happy and excited about the new relationship. Cool. Note the following during this period. Depending on the contract, this period lasts until you're into your normal monthly or repetitive cycle. People buy from people, so whoever closed the sale must remain close during.
And in this case, you're an entrepreneur. You're starting up. Chances are it's maybe one or two of you. So you're always going to be engaged right through to the retention phase. But this honeymoon period, everyone's happy, as we've said. You need to be very, very upfront and be quite close to this phase of it. Even when you are a bigger company, never lose face at that point. Face. Don't lose that interaction.
Never lose touch.
Or touch. Yeah. No, face. I like it face to face. We get the point. Yeah. And moving on to slide 14. So we literally, we've gone from that sales to the implementation execution, and now we're moving into the retention period, what we call the farmer. Okay. Let's read on.
So once the implementation period is completed, we enter the retention phase, where we strive to retain the client for the foreseeable future, hopefully many years. So in point there as well, we're talking about clients, but customers. You want people coming back to your store. You want people looking for your next product. So that's what we mean by retention, because you think, I've sold my product, it's done. No. You obviously want more, and you want more people talking about your product, all of that. This applies to sales product as well.
Correct. And so the product's a good example. So there you follow up. You've got information, you give them additional, I see you bought A, how about buying B next time, and so on. So it's keeping, the farmer is literally, it's a nice example. You're looking after the land and building it and making sure that it flourishes. That's why we term the farmer. And remember, the farmer is he's not a hunter. He likes to build those relationships, and that's a key factor in this thing. And he's obviously driving in the context of services. A point that's stated here, really the second last bullet says, ensure you meet the KPI. So whatever you've set out to achieve, let's go.
You have to achieve it.
So and the last point, a good retention can produce leads. That's the ultimate compliment. That's where you get into a situation where your client is now referring you to other clients. That's the ultimate compliment. Okay. So moving on to slide 15.
So far more business. That's going back to the previous point on the previous slide. The farmer is not a hunter. They prefer to build long-lasting and trusted relationships with one or more clients. They become a trusted advisor to the client base. They're able to farm additional business with the client by upselling and cross-selling.
Yeah. So a key factor there, you again, that trust, and trust comes through all the way. I'm providing service A. He's grown himself. In the same way, you're going to see your agency or your accountant providing you services. They're going to upsell additional services as you grow. And as you see opportunity, it's the same thing. We're always trying to assist each other. Okay. So that, in essence, if we look at those with the three pillars, and moving on to slide 16, which is the last part of part one. Let's just look at the summary. Yeah, let's put it all together.
So have a strong foundation. Supporting your business and functions, and it can all be cloud-based today.
Yep. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Key. Remember that your role changes when you're in one of the three pillars: sales, execution, and implementation, and retention. And of course, when you're starting out, you definitely are that person that moves from one to the other. Just think about your mindset each time.
I mean, it's cool because if you've now got this picture, so you get on Monday morning, well, I've got to go look at my foundation, so look at all my accounts, look at everything that's moving. That's a different mindset, right? My foundation's working, my money's moving in and out, and now we look at, okay, so what are my next sales? Yeah. Okay, follow those up. What is happening with my implementation? Okay, that's all executing, and what about my existing clients? And
that's actually a really good, it gets down to the point of that day-to-day management all the way into your task planning and everything. Exactly. That's a principle to keep it together. So the simple organizational structure of your business will ensure that you remain focused on the role that you're playing within each part of your business. Yeah. Thus allowing you to control you'll need to get successful. For success.
And that ends part 1 of your course. Okay, guys, welcome to part 2, which is an introduction to marketing. Now, I do say it is an introduction. You know, we've got so much when we even put this course and this part together and the sales part. There's so much we wanted to put in. So we really tried to get the essence of these areas. And from the beginning, I think, and we'll take you through each of the actual points. I don't want to go off topic, so let's actually start.
Well, just one thing as well to introduce this is that there are a lot of resources online that teach you exactly how to do this, literally step by step. Yep. Obviously, that's not what we wanted to do here. We wanted to really get you into the marketing thought process and what is important about marketing digitally. But of course, the principle here is eventually you can't do this by yourself, and don't worry about having to do it yourself all the time. Try actually as soon as possible not to be doing it yourself. You have to be involved in the process, of course, because it's your business. You have to approve of the messages going out there. But just to keep in mind that you do eventually have to let somebody else do it for you.
I think the key thing to take out from this for you, although obviously summarize it, it's when you do engage with the agency, when you're doing yourself or with the agency, what you get out of this part of the course is these are the items that should be covered and explained. So if you've got this core set of services happening for you, you're going to be successful with this. Okay, it's very important. So that you're not saying, well, I did a bit of Facebook, or I've got a website. That's not the way to approach this. Okay, so let's go. We can start literally. Second bullet,
at the macro level, online digital marketing is also known as through-the-line marketing.
We'll unpack that,
It produces the fastest, most cost-effective, targeted and measurable way to get your consumer and generate sales.
Key factor, That's why we've said this, because you can't, you obviously can go on radio now, you can go print a lot of flyers. That doesn't really it might have its place way down the line, but not right now. This is measurable. We can actually get to our targeted audience.
You can learn so much immediately. You don't have to learn about it after your business has been around for years and years. You learn literally week on week, advert on advert. So then going into, for the purposes of completeness, we also briefly touch on above the line and below the line and what they mean later in this module. NB, we're not presenting a conventional marketing approach as we spoke about in the beginning, but an approach based on what works in the 20s.
And you should have been on slide 17 on that one, by the way. So let's move on to slide 18. This is most probably the busiest slide, but actually, and we do unpack this, but it's important that we do look at the stack, and you can see I call it the marketing stack. And the beauty about the slide, and maybe you can keep this one aside, is that if you cover all of these 4 points, then in essence someone is providing you with a complete strategy at its, let's call it the minimal viable strategy that you require. Everything else can be added on top of it. So I'm not going to unpack it all of it now, but just to give an introduction, starting from the bottom, your website is the key. That's where everyone's going to be driven to. Now, whether you have an actual physical store, or online store, or an online presence, we're either driving people to buy something online, or we're driving them to engage with you, to become leads, or we're driving them in-store.
In these days, in these days, that was part of the foundation. You have to build your website immediately.
And we'll talk to that.
Yeah, because that's, people expect you to have a website if you're a business.
Especially in this digital time,
exactly.
Digital world. Going on, so think of the website is we built a vehicle, the second layer paid media, we'll unpack this, we're feeding people to the site. So either with Google, people are looking for us, social media, we're engaging and driving people. We've got a clear call to action, taking it to a third level, it's about managing this. So whoever says to you, we're going to use, we're going to drive people, this is what we're going to do, they need to manage that process for you. As I say, we will unpack this, but what are they doing operationally? And as I say, let us get, what content are they creating, how often are they posting, these things we'll unpack. And finally, so that's your month, periodically, might be monthly, might be bi-monthly. Initially, it should be monthly. Let's see how we're performing. How are our ads doing? Are we converting into leads or converting sales, etc.? Are we meeting our key objectives? And then, based on that, how do we change things for the following period? Okay.
Hence the arrows up.
Hence the arrows up.
They all inform each other.
So we'll unpack this for you in the next few slides. So moving on to slide 19. Since you can read on.
Your website is your home, as we said before. It's where your potential clients and customers visit you. The business-to-business website. So now we're talking about product versus service. The key objective there is the lead generation. They talk the problem. Maybe we should start this slide.
Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, so no, there is going to be a slide edit here because of that. All right. So it will be. I'm just saying slide 19. Whatever we said, we're going to restart it now. All right. So moving on to the website, unpacking this part of it. Okay. So let's read. Your website
is your home, as we said before. It's where your customer or your client comes to visit you. So there's two types. Yeah, exactly. So we've got the service and the product. So the business-to-business website, what that function of that website is, lead generation.
As you can see.
And then what the most common problem we've seen with business-to-business websites is they talk way too much about themselves. Oh, we do this, great, it's amazing. And you do need that information, but what is more effective, as we've said, is list your clients' pain points and how you address and resolve them. So this is how we help you. It makes a lot more of an impact when you're saying, when you're saying this is how we help you. Not we're amazing at it, we're showing how we'll do it.
Unpacking that, if you look at the last point, the journey is to convert a visitor into a lead. And how you do that, you express or list the challenges that you're addressing. So if someone's running a specific, let's say a set of services relating to some software problem that they're going to solve, it's no use telling them how great your software is. It's more important explaining that you understand their business challenges and that you address those. People will love that. In fact, the technology can be discussed later. In fact, we allude to this as we carry on. So moving on to slide 20.
That's the other type, which is the e-commerce. The business to consumer and e-commerce. So obviously it doesn't mean that only an online store is a B2C website. It's the function of that website is to get sales. Whether you can execute that sale through the website or whether it's to get in touch with you.
Let's give a small example there. So one of the clients that we've had sells wallpaper. Now you can go and buy wallpaper. I mean, it makes sense. You can buy it online if that's what you wish to do. But generally, you'd like to go into the store, feel it, have someone consult. So that the drive there, marketing strategy was to drive people in store. So horses for courses. But again, this is a B2C. It is a business to consumer sale. Okay. So let's move on. Points to remember.
Points to remember. Yes. Ensure that it's easy to navigate around your product and categories. Nobody wants. It's the same thing as you don't want baskets lying in the aisle when you're in a physical store. Why would you do that on your website?
Correct.
Ensure that the checkout process is quick and smooth. It's the same thing. You don't want to sit in a line, and you don't want to.
People don't have that patience. I want to click on a simple click-through process. These are good pointers to remember when someone shows you the e-commerce site they're delivering for you. Okay.
And then obviously later on we'll talk a bit more about this, but Google Shopping and Facebook Dynamic Product Ads, and also Instagram Shopping.
Sounds quite complex, but remember that's a tick in the box.
It's a marketing channel if you're selling online.
Yeah. So we move on to slide 21 here, getting on with our website discussion.
So in summary, ensure that the site renders, which means it works correctly on any device, mobile, PC, tablet, especially this day and age. People do most of their research on their website on their phone.
Yeah.
So if your website's not looking, you can't actually even see the whole thing on your phone. People aren't going to spend time on it. They're not going to waste their time trying to figure out how your website works.
So sometimes the way your website renders on your notebook versus on your smartphone, things do change, and you need to make sure when you sign off that you're happy that it works on most.
Remember that it looks great across all the screens. Ensure it's hosted in an environment that is so scalable and that allows your site to perform fast. Slow sites result in loss of users. So if you speak more about the scalable part.
Yeah, so an example is, one of the companies we had that sold liquor. And you can imagine what happens like on a Black Friday. That Black Friday just went crazy in terms of the amount of sales that were done. So your site needs to be able to handle tens of thousands of users. That's the volumes we had that particular day. So you just keep that in mind. Why I'm saying this is when you talk to other developers and you bring this up, they say, oh, hold on, this guy knows what they're talking about. That's the point we're making. Maybe initially it's not an issue, but it's worth noting.
It's making sure that the site doesn't crash.
And I think that last point there on slide 21, your site represents your business and in turn you. I think that's a key factor. Remember that. So it must be a true essence of your ethos, who you are as well.
Yeah, it's your home.
So remember the diagram we had, the stack, we spoke about the financial, we built the vehicle. Now let's
put the fuel.
Let's talk to that. Yeah.
Okay, paid media is simply defined as what you're prepared to pay for a click on digital channels that will drive consumers to engage with you and with the objective of converting them into clients. So if we say click, it's literally most of the time your engagement has to get a click. You are asking somebody to perform an action, and these days it's very difficult for them to. You have to win their click.
Yes.
So the platforms we're talking about there is Google Search, Shopping, Display, YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, and more Pinterest. Anything like that where you.
Horses for courses again. Sometimes Facebook is the key area where we play. Sometimes it's Instagram, etc. So those are very specific areas. And we'll talk to that. Let's move on.
So just to cover everything, the organic search, the reason it's called organic is there's no paid spend behind it. It's not easily measurable. There are tools, of course, you measure traffic to your website, things like that. But it's not ad driven, and you don't target it. It's just...
It's so long term. In terms of giving you the results, you don't have that opportunity now in your business. In your business, you need to start getting results now. You want to get people engaging now. So that's paid media is the fastest way to do that. Okay, let's move on to slide 23. Okay.
And as we said, we like this analogy. Your website is a motor vehicle without fuel. You can have the best looking vehicle, so your best website, but if we don't fuel it, it won't be able to take you to your destination, which is sales and leads, customers.
It's absolutely important, that point. So again, we distinguish what is the
destination for a B2B, business to business, lead generation, e-commerce, business to consumer, that's in-store and sales.
Yeah, so I mean, that's very clear. And that's typically, if you look at any type of business, you're either doing one or the other. Okay, I mean, it's actually clear in those. Again, when we setting the objectives, it's clear where you need to go. And of course, at the end of the day, everything must end in a sale. But if you're not selling something online, you need a lead. And that's how you structure it. Okay?
Okay. Well, yep. Paid media
Slide 24.
Yeah. Paid media is the fuel that gets us to our destination.
Yep.
With Google, our call to action for our consumers to drive them to our website, and that's Google Search, where we can convert them into leads or sales, known as pull marketing. We're pulling them in. They've come to us. They've asked for they've asked for us or the service, and we're pulling them into us. With social channels, we serve posts and our call to action for our consumers to drive them to our websites, push them, where we can convert them into leads or sales, known as push marketing. So we're pushing to them. Just a point there as well is Google Search is about that, but Google also serves a lot more objectives. It's just usually if you talk about the social channels, it's very much about being in front of people when they're busy doing other things, when they're busy looking at things they're interested in. We consider the social channels more about pushing to them. and search more as pulling.
Correct. I mean, there's things we can have like YouTube and displays. Actually, quite neat. You've all seen the ad that follows you around. Once you've searched for those, stream marketing, all of those things are key to this.
And that's in terms of key. Talking about the person that does your digital marketing, they need to talk to you about what each platform, what each kind of ad is trying to do, so that you can then look at the results. What is it trying to do? Is it doing what it's set out to do?
Right. Moving to 25. The next few slides, we're going to give you examples of the kind of reporting you should be able to get out. Okay, key, important, so that when you do sit, you say, okay, I get this. Let's have a look.
So here it's just an example of something off the back end of Google.
Yeah.
This is on slide 25 here. Paid media, it provides some great reporting, and that is free once you're using it. This is from Google itself. There obviously are tools that you can use to report.
So in this case, if you look at the blue, red, and I suppose it's orange, and green, the blue says, hey, this is the number of clicks that we attained over this period, and the impressions, how many people actually saw our ads, the actual cost that per click cost us, this is what we paid, and then the total amount we spent
across that
which in this case here was 8,000 odd rand for that period.
And there's a lot to learn. A lot to learn though from that graph, which your agency or your service provider can talk to you about. Like, okay, cool. People are seeing our ads, but we're not getting. When our impressions go up, our clicks don't go up. That sort of thing, that sort of discussion is part of reviewing how your paid media is going.
It's not just about numbers. They need to break those numbers, explain them to you. Moving on to slide 26, that's another demographic type of info. On the left, you've got the age categories. The darker the color, the more those people have engaged, that age category is engaged with you. So if you've got a product, in this instance, that you need to be targeting more males, this is the information that should come back just out of this example. The one on the right talks to the heat map with sort of day of the week and the time that people are engaging. So, strangely, this example, the top is Sunday. You can see Sunday evenings, people are quite engaged in wherever we, this particular product or service. So this could be they're doing research on a Sunday evening, or they prefer to buy. And that's a lot of valuable information again.
Going back to that, or going back to what we were talking about, paid media being measurable, digital being measurable. You learn, and like I said, you're not going to wait 3 years of running your business to learn about who your best customers are, who your most interested demographic is. You're learning this as you go along.
Exactly. This should be provided on a monthly basis. Right, moving on to slide 27, you can see the breakdown. I mean,
it's the same thing.
Again, breaking down.
Learning more about your audience, your
devices they're using. That's the one on the right. Then breaking down the social media. There's a whole lot of information about that. It's slide 28.
Yeah, it's gauging how far that platform is going for you. How is it go? What is the health of that platform? Are people engaging? What that can tell you is how is your content? Is your content really relating to people? Are people relating to your content? So there's all of these things, all of these screenshots. What we're showing here is you are learning things from them on a monthly basis, and that informs your next month. And
I mean, literally, guys, that's just like an intro. The idea is to get you an idea. The takeaway, Cinza is really learned is. The client, your supplier, must break that information down, not just send you an email that does the reporting. It doesn't help you. Okay. So moving on to slide 29, really start covering some of these points. So your partner agency.
They will suggest the channels you need to have a presence on, as we discussed earlier. The budget you need to allocate to each channel, remembering that you only pay when a consumer clicks on one of your ads or posts. Also discuss these different kinds of ads that you can discuss when you pay. Don't be afraid to ask that question, though you are entitled to understand what you're paying for. And they will define the call to action. So what are we going to do? Are we asking people to listen to this? Are we asking people to go and look at your website? Are we asking them to view? So they define the call to action, and you obviously agree with them on that. And then the reviews, as we said, they also they don't just provide it to you, they explain it to you. They go through it with you, they answer your questions.
Key takeaways, guys. Very, really, very important. Key takeaway for that, okay? So let's move on to slide 30. So again, looking back at our stack, we spoke about our website, our virtual vehicle. We went to paid media where we're fueling our website, so we're getting people to engage. We see a whole lot of reporting. Well, putting that together, in slide 30, we are heading being operational servicing of our digital channels. So how does that actually get done? What does the agency provide? What are you going to do if you're doing part of that work? Okay. So
as the car is running, you need to keep it going, and you need to deal with obstacles on the way.
Correct.
They'll perform additional services for each of your selected digital marketing channels. So it might not be all of them. They'll create campaigns for Google, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's a given. They create the content or copy for each of these channels, generally on a monthly basis. Yep. You work with them on that as well. Obviously, this is your business.
Yes. So when they give you content, you say, no, that isn't quite what our wording should be. It should be this. It makes more sense, and that's where the backwards and forwards. But you sign up.
That's why we say your agency partner. If they're your partner, they want you to be successful. You want them to help you in the best way they can. So you guys have to work together, discuss your content, agree. If you guys disagree on a certain message, what's great about digital is that you can actually see, you can test which one works best.
Yeah, and the last bullet there is manage the allocated spend. So they must take care of that. So the allocated spend is to those paid media channels we spoke to. It's important that they say, I am going to spend X on this channel, I'm going to spend Y on Google search, and you say, that's fine. And then, again, each month you'll be reviewing that. Okay. So it makes a lot of sense once we start looking. This is all operational stuff. Let's move on to slide 31, which continues with this discussion.
Yeah, so then above all of that, they have the community management of your social channels on a daily basis between normal working hours or as arranged between you and them. That really is quite a thing to discuss. Not every brand needs to be there 24/7.
Yes.
And certain types of products can be expected to take longer to respond. But of course, you do need to respond within a timely manner.
Yeah.
And that's what the person does for you. If you agree to do that yourself, then it's quite an undertaking that you need to be there the whole time.
Strongly not recommended to do that, because you're trying to run your business, get your sales, make sure everything else is functioning. Someone should take care of that community management, and you can see the services that they would provide. Let's touch them. Let's go there.
So they serve all the posts to the respective channels based on the content calendar, so they're posting it. They respond to the post with an appropriate tone, so that goes more on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't insult people or anything.
So you might be busy and you might be having a situation with a client. Your mood isn't quite right, and someone posts something that you may react to, whereas your social media company will respond to, and soften things up and then redirect to whoever must actually resolve the issue.
Yeah, because your social media redirect the leads and queries to someone in the business, because eventually it's a question has to be answered properly.
Yeah.
A lead needs to be given to somebody who can actually process it.
And boost posts by placing them.
Yes, at the agreed budget on selected posts.
Yep.
Yes, and also deciding as well when to post.
Correct.
When are your people most online? They are considering all of that for you, and it's agreed upon, and then they go and execute that as agreed.
And as a last point today,
redirect leads from posts to appropriate individual in your organization. So that's the sales.
To that.
No, but really, in terms of, it doesn't have to be dealing with negative comments or whatever.
Where can I get this product? How.
Is this in stock?
Is it? Does it handle this particular factor? And that's something that either you've provided some default answers to your social media team, or they don't know and they redirect it to an expert.
That's actually a good point. There is to consider things that you usually are asked by your clients and your customers. If you actually have like an idea of your frequently asked questions, having that having answers prepared as well.
Correct.
And considering those answers is really helpful for not only the agency that's doing it for you, but for yourself. You know that that's taken care of.
Yeah, so in summary, that operational services layer, okay?
It ensures that the appropriate campaigns and content
That's slide 32, by the way. Yep.
The content calendars are created based on the agreed strategy, ensure that on a daily basis the campaigns are monitored, and where necessary changes are applied. They ensure that all the communication channels are monitored and appropriate responses or actions are taken.
Okay, so that in essence completes our third layer, and this to us was probably is the most important. So we've executed all of the other stuff. Now it's reviewing that, and that's the key factor. That's that's a fourth block, and that's the key factor here. So that you pick up on slide 33, and let's talk to that.
Yeah. This is the most important session you can have with your agency, as this is where you measure performance against your agreed key performance indicators for various online digital marketing channels, including your website performance.
Yep. If
this is a service that they provide. Make their informed tactical and or strategic decisions based on the information presented, and they provide more budget on, for example, they would decide, okay, we need to provide more budget on channels that have provided the best return on investment.
Yeah. Correct. I mean, that slide is worth rereading a few times. We won't need to add to it at this point, but it's a key factor that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so NB, we're looking at slide 34 here.
Make sure that they give you insights as to what the information means and not just a report of numbers. Under the paid media part of the course, we saw examples of the type of reporting that should be provided, and again, questions that you should be asking and what you can expect actually from them to be given to you.
I think that in those NBs, don't forget, it's a key factor. Just feed me numbers, tell me what they mean. All right, so again, a high-level view of strategy creation. I think this is the key factor. Let's talk B2B. Let's carry on there. This is
again, we're going B2B, B2C. The key focus on, as previously stated, is lead generation. Typical channels: Google, LinkedIn. Messaging should present your brand as a thought leader. So you're an authority. You know your stuff. Present your brand as a knowledge expert and understands the client's challenges and pain points. It goes back to what we were talking about with the website. Products and services messaging should be scheduled during the last and first week of the month.
So,
favorite point.
Yeah, exactly. And in essence, so that's why do we say B2B? We've said Google and LinkedIn, because who you're looking for, you're doing business to business type engagement. So the best channel in SA at the moment, anyway, is to work through LinkedIn. So the messaging, as you can see, we look at those points again. It is about, showing that you're a knowledge expert, that you know your subject, so those are softer messages. And then, as Cinza alluded to, the last point is the right type of messaging, the right type of the month. Normally, last week, first week is the push more harder, push to sales versus the more knowledge-based and softer messaging during the month. I mean, those are good pieces of advice, okay? That's on a B2B perspective. Let's look at a B2C, which is the next slide 36.
The key focus, as previously stated, is sales, whether online or in-store. So our typical channels there is Google again, Google Shopping, Facebook, Instagram, dynamic product ads. So, of course, as we said before, those are channels, especially if you're doing e-commerce, you need Google Shopping, you need your Facebook, Instagram. If that's where your brand belongs, of course, again, discuss that. Then,
if your agency doesn't, if you're selling something online and they don't talk Google Shopping, you need to add a little flag, because the cost, and we're getting back down to cost per click of a normal ad that you'll see on when you search ads that pop up versus the Google Shopping ads that pop up, the cost per click is very different. So your Google Shopping ads might cost you, as an example, R1 versus 10 Rand of a normal ad. So it's very important to
just think about that as well. We were talking about earlier that you're asking people to perform an action. With Google Shopping, what's made it so amazing is you see the picture of the thing you want, you click on it, and then you have to do even less to get to what you want. Whereas a search ad, okay, cool, now I have to click on this. The point is, there are you still want to be present in all all the key places. But the point is, with e-commerce, really think about the shopping ads.
Yeah, to finish it, so when I click on that shopping ad, it goes straight to the buy page. I normally see the product, add to cart, and I'm out. A few clicks, great experience, and I'm done. But yeah, so measuring should be, messaging should be, yes.
Do you drive the consumer to online store or physical store?
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing as well. If you want people to come to your physical store, there's different kinds of ads for that. You can have directions, get directions ads. Also pick your Google My Business.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that to us as well. Okay.
So again, as well on that, the softer messaging, the product knowledge, and that sort of softer thing also still has to come out for a B2C. You're not just like, here's the product. You've got to really sell the product and make it aspirational.
To that last point, so the way online is changing nowadays, it's not just about, if you look at Takealot, you don't really aspire, and I'm not knocking Takealot, but the principle of Takealot is it's convenient, it's great to go and buy a product, but it's not an aspirational product. So a lot of the shift is about being engaged. If you look at a certain brand, you're wanting to engage with that brand. So your messaging, if you brought out a brand of clothing, for example, you want people to aspire to being part of that brand, part of that journey. So your messaging should be lifestyle, softer messaging, not just push, sell. I want to be part of your brand. And so that's where the softer messaging comes in. I think that's a key factor of how things are moving in today's world. So, moving on to slide 37, we summarize
Part 2.
So let's go. Let's read.
So it's been an introduction to online digital marketing, or as previously stated, through-the-line marketing.
Yep.
Through-the-line provides the most cost-effective, fast and measurable way to get to your consumer in a digital-first world.
I think we made that point a lot, yeah.
Hint, focus on video content if possible, as it yields better results. And then again is where you also would have the softer messaging, the lifestyle.
Exactly.
It's why you have models in your clothing rather than just a mannequin.
Correct.
It's
a good example.
kind of idea.
No, lovely.
Another hint, great businesses allocate up to 6% of their revenue to digital marketing. Between 2 to 3% is the norm. Yeah,
I need to stop it from a business perspective, guys. It is imperative that we pick that up. The more successful companies, let's talk right at the top. If we think of the billions that Coke will spend, and yet they're such an established brand, but they will spend billions on their advertising because you need to be top of mind at all times. Now, that's at the one extreme. Where we need to make sure that in terms of what you do in your budgeting, that there is a marketing spend. We cannot stress that. And in fact, in today's world, the fact that we said that in a digital first world, it's a no-brainer. We need to be out there.
Yeah, it's driving your business.
Yeah.
So turning that off, it seems like
you disappear.
A lot of the time, it seems like, well, that's the first thing to cut because we're cutting costs. Don't turn it off. The least you could do is not turn it off, because you do need to.
You disappear. You assume you're not present any longer.
Things are already tough, presumably, and that's why you want to turn it off. That's why you want to take the budget away completely.
That's when you need to be on.
That's when you do need to be on, because it does drive you.
I want to add that over COVID. So really going back to the first lockdowns, I looked at all of our clients at that period, and it wasn't. There were very few that didn't get it, that needed to remain relevant. And we were thinking, already at the time, we started saying within our own environment, we started thinking post-lockdown. We didn't have levels or anything at that point, but we started thinking post-lockdown. So let's keep relevant, because we had people's total focus. Everyone was locked in, they had their devices. So keep your business top of mind. And the results were amazing. They were absolutely, when things were opening up, people were there. There were certain businesses that could continuously trade, that we were taking care of. Again, top of mind, some of those essential businesses and so on.
But also a point there, talking about the struggles of a lockdown and that sort of thing. The key point there was also discussing with the clients that what to do. Of course there is, you might need to make changes. Cash flow is king.
Correct.
But you discuss what is best to take away, how much we can take away, how much we can reduce, whether we can. That is part of the service as well. It's showing where best to put the money that you can bring in. Just don't turn off.
The last bullet there, you may read it just on slide 37.
There are other elements in marketing stack which we'll look at briefly, but online marketing or through the line is where you start.
I think we made that point clear. So let's just talk about the other stuff. So, this particular module is focused on that online, and you can see why. The benefits are there, the results are there, it's cost effective. But let's just talk about the other stuff you can do and get to.
Let's look at the additional services that you can add to your marketing strategy as your business grows. Full collateral development, micro-influencer marketing, above the line product services include TV, radio, billboards, both digital and static, street polls, also referred to as out-of-home advertising, and it addresses a wider target audience. People would expect, but digital marketers don't care about the traditional marketing. But actually, it's because you have to, that's why it's there. You would be, as the same as you would be on somebody's phone and then on somebody's laptop. You will be on somebody's phone, somebody's laptop, and
on radio, whatever it is.
Exactly.
So that's all budget aligned. So that keep that in the back of mind. There is a place, for that. We there's no question we've seen a shift to digital, but playing those other channels, like we alluded to here, above the line is a key. We'll also just talk below the line, going on to the next slide.
That includes
slide 39.
Yeah.
So we know where we are.
That those below the lines, direct mail campaigns, trade shows, catalogs, targeted search engine marketing, flyers, point of sale advertising. That those are all part of advertising. That doesn't mean that they have to be disregarded, but as we said, digital is where you start because it's so much easier as well. Then there's videography, photography, store location-based advertising, heavy-duty data analytics. So that's you can then apply that.
The one little piece of why we've added that there is we work so hard, and everything we talk to you is about spending money to either generate sales and leads. What we're saying with looking at the data is looking at now you've got this customer, we analyze him, and through the process we find that there's a whole lot of clients that are buying product A and B, but there's a whole lot of clients that just bought product A. So now we can upsell to those clients that should have bought A and B because it looks like it's the right combination. Why didn't they? Clients will love that because you're showing interest in them, and that's that personal touch again. Okay. So really the last point I think is
that the main takeaway is your business products and services are like a vehicle without fuel. If you don't fuel or market them, you don't go anywhere.
And that ends part 2 of your module. An introduction to sales, that's part 3 of our material. I hope you've enjoyed the first 2 parts. I know there's quite a lot to absorb, so I hope you enjoy this last part as well. Let's get on with it, because there's quite a few things we'd like to cover here. So, since you can, and by the way, that's slide 40 for you. Okay.
A marketing plan is created based on a company's business plan, goals, and objectives. Obviously, we need to know where we're going, what we need to do. Sales is a function of marketing. It's part of the execution of the marketing plan.
It's an important point to say there, because you know right off the bat, it needs to be clear. You need to have a business plan that you're talking to. So this is what I'm going to sell. This is where I want to do it, and then a marketing plan that backs that up, and then sales as a function. I think that's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, they're not exactly the same thing, but they can't work without each other.
Yeah.
Okay. As part 3 is an introduction to sales, we're going to take a really practical approach of sales as a function within your business. A process that has proven itself to be successful.
Yeah.
In many ways, a simple but unconventional approach.
I think we really need to say that it is different. It's not, sales 101. There's a lot of stuff, of course, that comes from a sales 101 approach, but this is very to the point and will assist you. Okay, as we alluded to right at the beginning of the course. This is now unpacking it a bit further. So moving on to slide 41.
The sales pipeline. Before looking at the sales as a function, it is imperative that you create a well-filled sales pipeline. Yeah. In a business-to-business context, this means that your marketing strategy is solid, targeted, and generates the correct leads. Remember, lead generation.
Yep.
You have a clear way of qualifying your leads. Example, the person you'll be presenting to is a decision maker. The client has a clear and defined set of needs, has the budget and a need for a solution now.
So I'd like to emphasize that. So generally, if if any system, whether it's online system or whether it's someone generating leads for you, when they put the individual or company in front of you, make sure that they have a defined set of needs and that you're speaking to the right decision maker. You will waste a lot of time if you haven't got just those two factors. That'll save you so much time.
And effort.
And effort. Because you know that there's a need, a defined need. If they can give you the budget, even better. Remember, don't make the budget a target. If they've said, yes, we put so much aside for marketing, you go away and see how best you can utilize that. You don't have to burn all of it. And yes, of course, you need to know that they need a solution right now. So let's move on. Yeah.
Okay, so in a
42.
In a business to consumer context, this means that your marketing strategy is solid, targeted, and results in the correct consumer engagement. You have a fast and efficient sales process that allows your new/returning customer to effortlessly close out on their purchase journey.
Yeah. I think that's self-explanatory. Yeah.
Whether business to business or business to consumer, ensure that you have a tool, even a spreadsheet for starters, where you can record your leads and manage the progress of closing.
Exactly. Because, you hear very sophisticated systems out there. You don't have to take that route. Exactly. You don't need to. You need this is my list, these are the actions, this is who I've engaged with, these are the dates, this is my next follow-up, and the level of interest, you can, set that up as well. So, it is that straightforward. And then, of course, there are tools out there that will assist
You'll
you
need
once
them
you need
eventually.
Them. Yes, eventually. Yes, that's when you eventually need them. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So preparing your
43.
Yes, preparing your sales pitch. Remember, in part 1, we stated that the type of profile required to sell is defined as the hunter.
Yep.
Defining the hunter there. They thrive on the challenge of meeting potential leads and converting them into long-term clients by understanding and resolving their immediate needs. They thrive on closing the deal. Once they've closed, they look for the next client to close. They incentivize with commission structures.
Yep, I think that is a key factor. You can see that there's a very clear set of rules that drive a hunter. It is very focused at assisting the client. I'm not saying just getting any sale. He's really has got it, and one of the good qualities of hunting is got empathy for understanding the client's needs
and understanding the service that he's selling.
Correct.
And this now we're saying,
we'll talk to that,
but we're also just saying again, just to keep in mind that in the beginning, this is the same person. You are putting on different hats the whole time.
I think that's the point we're trying to say. Yes, you are a startup. Chances are yourself, maybe one or two of you, maybe three, but in even in those small startups, you will be having to put different caps on, obviously. All right, moving on to slide 44.
Before setting up a meeting to present your pitch, you need to prepare by gathering as much info about your client's needs, challenges, or pain points as possible, understanding their industry/sector, what their current marketing strategy is, if they have one, who their competitors are, and do they have a budget allocated for this product or service.
I think that's key. Don't even with the competitors, who are they? That provides you with a lot of info on looking at what are their competitors doing, and actually you've been able to address their problems that will make them beat their competitor.
Their competitors is often a pain point.
Correct. So let's move on to slide 25 in this instance.
Okay, so then the structure of your pitch. Remember, it's all about your client, not about you. Again, from your website to your sales pitch.
It's an NB alert. We've got it there in your...
In pitch mode, you're building trust. This means that you need to listen to your client's comments during the presentation. This may provide additional info that may require you to change the proposed solution. A great opportunity to build trust and ability to adapt to your client's needs.
Absolutely. So you might be so clear on your pitch, you go in and you get hit with a curveball. You may have thought it's A, it's B. Listen, it's okay. And we'll talk to these things going on. Let's move on to some additional tips as we go forward. So let's look at 46. In short, reiterate your understanding of your client's pain points, challenges, and needs. So just reiterate it to start off. We understand you. If appropriate, provide context about how their competitors are or not addressing the issues. Showcase how you intend to resolve and or provide a solution and how you've done this in the past.
Notice that at no time have you spoken about how great you are or the technologies that you'll be using. Obviously, you get to that point.
You will.
And that is actually applying it. When you structure your pitch, you're showing your knowledge anyway.
Correct.
Because you're applying your knowledge in your pitch.
I mean, obviously, this is a pitch that is where you're providing services, product services. I mean, online sales is obviously a different kind of scenario. But let's carry on. We're getting on to slide 47.
It is imperative that you showcase the understanding of the specific needs, challenges, or pain points to your client. You suggest the following solution and then present the solution. That's the whole idea.
Again, you can see there's a clear pattern here. Yeah.
Provide the pricing breakdown and be alert.
Yeah.
Always be confident in presenting this section as you believe you're providing value which should be remunerated.
And I think I've seen this too often where the tone, I can pick it up immediately, where the tone changes. You've been so confident about saying everything about the product and we can solve this, and you get to the money and the person sits back. No, you have to have that same, we're in a business transaction, we're building a relationship. You know, in any relationship, even personal relationships, there's a balance. So exactly in this, we're giving a service, we're expecting that. So don't ever change. It's the biggest piece of advice in that process. Put it out there as you believe in it, okay, and be absolutely passionate about that, okay. So let's move on to 48. I mean, I always enjoy this cycle myself.
Finally, a summary of the technologies that you will be using. So as we said, you'll get there to resolve the specific requirements. Once you've completed your pitch, ask if they have any questions and answer them with confidence.
Yeah.
And B, if you don't know, rather say, I'll find out the details and get back to them with an answer. Don't try and make it up.
It's okay to not have all answers. You know, maybe when you're starting the business, you know what you're putting forward there. But there's times when things are quite technical, and you say, actually, I don't know at that point. I'll get back to you. That kind of honest response actually builds trust, rather than you tap dancing around things. Okay.
Close the meeting, stating that you'll email a copy of your presentation pitch to all parties, so they really can refer back to it. And be alert. Ask what the next steps are on timings. Make sure you know what the next step is.
Correct.
You're not just going away and we're done. Cool.
In the same way of saying this is what it costs. In the same way with comments. Okay, gentlemen, ladies, what's our next step after this? Where timing wise. So there's a call to action out of that session. Okay, those are key factors to remember.
Call to action.
Yeah.
Okay, so closing.
So moving on to 49. Yeah. So we've done the pitch, guys. Now we're in close mode. Let's carry on.
Depending on your processes, sometimes an additional meeting is required to close or sign the deal. If the client is happy to sign off the deal digitally, it's best to subscribe to an online document signature management system, which makes it easy for all parties to sign the contract. The whole thing is making it easier.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it. I mean, in lockdown specifically, there's been a couple of clients that through this whole period that I haven't physically met, and we've done all this signing of contracts online. It actually works very well. But it is an exception. I think we all want to sit face to face and close out if possible. But we're saying the world has moved. There's very good tools to allow you to do that as well. Okay. Slide 50.
If you're meeting again to close on the sale, you need to ensure your focus is on closing.
Yes.
This means you're not selling any longer.
And B.
Trust has been built from the initial pitch. The client has made the decision to sign the deal, but they might have some objections or questions they would like to address. Be ready for this, but don't go into selling mode again.
Yeah.
You're the trusted advisor now, so resolve their objections using the trust that has been built. You are now the knowledge expert. You've established that you know your stuff. It's no longer trying to prove to them that your services are worthwhile. It's about now discussing what the services, how we're going to do that.
They've made a decision, right? You're in closing mode, and now we're just asking. It's like when you bought a vehicle and that's the vehicle you want. And now you say, well, can we talk about payment plans, or could you add this additional feature as a freebie? The decision's made, so don't go into sales mode. Let's close out. Okay, I think that's a big takeaway here. Moving on to and some selling tips, really, slide 51. Let's just have a look at this. some good points.
There are really practical points here. If you're providing a contract that extends over a period of 12 months, you may provide a discount or PPR, CPR.
Oh, yeah. That one's explained below. Yeah.
Plus 1% if they pay the 12 months in advance. So you can.
So that's pretty neat. So yeah, the PPI and CPI explained in that slide.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, the idea for you is you're giving them an incentive, which remember we've said a few times that cash flow is king. So you, in essence, if you're able to say, well, pay me up front for the year, I'll give you a discount. And if you give whether it's a PPI or CPI plus 1, that you're giving them a better discount than them putting money in the bank, but you've got money in your bank,
that
allows you
produce.
to run your
Exactly.
So those are the kind of things you can negotiate. People are always open to it. There's nothing wrong in putting it out there. But then don't
give immediate discounts larger than 5 to 7%. And why? This may give the impression that you were loading your price.
And you're actually devaluing your brand and your service, because why would you have put a 40% or give a 40% discount? That means you're devaluing yourself. And discounts aren't necessarily the right approach. Rather say, I'll give you additional services
and,
at that price.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And finally,
if your salespeople don't believe in your products or services, they won't be able to sell them.
I think that it goes without saying. That's why you're actually on this course. That's where you're looking. You've got some dream. You've got something that needs to work. Hence why we are taking you through these 3 parts: setting your business, marketing, and how do you sell your particular product or service. So in summary, summarizing the sales process, we're on to slide 52.
Ensure your sales team are hunting, not farming.
Yep.
A farmer loves to build relationships with their clients for years to come. They are great at upselling add-ons or currents to the current solution. They cross-sell new products or services. The hunter has a passion and a belief in the products and or services that your business provides. So it's a lot more.
Again, much more, a key factor. So understand where you are in the farmer mode. I'm looking after you. I'm trying to add more value. There's a relationship that builds. And these are points that we have alluded to. This is the summary of what we've said about the hunter player and the farmer player. And be alert. Slide 53.
Yeah, know your target audience when you meet. Some just want the facts. So this target audience meaning the people in you're pitching to. Some want the facts, others want the technical details, while others want to be pampered. You need to reassure them that they're making the correct decision.
Yeah, I think that is in today's world is some more relevant, where you need to know your audience. You cannot go with this fixed pitch approach, and I've seen that with experience. So, for example, if you're speaking to a CEO that you know his background is quite technical in his own product, you can take it quite technical. Or if a person tends to be looks like he's not engaging, just keep to the facts. Always keep a warm and passionate approach. It'll always work, but know your audience. That's a key factor in preparation, all right? So,
I think that actually just goes back to empathy for your client or
absolutely.
Your potential consumer, because then you are catering your pitch for the exact person. People buy from people. So you really are making it just for them, and that will come through. So from that you learn to read the characteristics during your engagement.
Absolutely. That's a factor. Don't think about yourself. Look at who's in the audience. Keep looking at their responses.
And that becomes that comes from practice as well and experience. Eventually you'll do it without even thinking about it, correct. Without even focusing on literally a facial expression. So just a note on online presenting, very relevant at this point. Ensure the content is easy to read, especially when you're presenting your screen. Can you see my screen? Yeah, make sure that they can read it, but they are going to get it later.
So I think the point is instead of putting 5 points on, here we're doing a course. You've got the material in front of you. If we were doing a presentation live to you, we most probably would have less points because you can only absorb so much. So keep the points sharp, keep them to the point, and rather have more slides with less points. That works better, okay. And then you try to keep the session down to a minimum or maximum of an hour online. But we've seen that in the way people are engaging. There's a limit to the concentration levels and working from home. So, and then yes, finally, slide 54. Remember that after the initial sales pitch, stop selling and ABC. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Always be passionate during the sales process, as this has a positive effect on all parties, and your client walks away thinking that they need to be engaged with your service offering. Finally, remember to have fun. Your enthusiasm will be felt by all present.
Yeah, and this really concludes the sales part or part 3 of the course material.
One thing though, one more thing.
Yes.
This might be seem like, okay, but this entire part was just for people that are selling services.
No.
What I would like to say to the people that are selling products, these are principles. These are things you have to keep in mind. Even you have a sales cycle when somebody is in your store
or
online. So you have to keep that in mind. You might not be pitching a huge presentation, but the picture of your product is a presentation. So try and apply that kind of thinking to it.
Yes.
So don't completely ignore this part of it because I'm selling a product, not a service. Think about, again, the hunter, the farmer, the honeymoon period, all of that. It just might be on a smaller scale. But remember that as you are selling your product.
And I mean, reminding on that, I think if we look back at the course where we spoke about the type of messaging for companies that sell products, your business sells stuff online or in store, we said your softer messaging is about building a brand that someone wants to aspire to. So that your social messaging out there should always be, well, we're knowledge experts in what we do or in the products we provide. So to give you an example, if you're selling some sports nutrition, now you or set of products that are around sports nutrition, you could just sell those products, or you could be a thought leader about how you should manage and what products you should be taking depending on what sport you're doing. And then you should bring in influencers through your social media channels. That's why I say, to Cinza's point, we're always thinking of selling in different modes. It's always about being very personal there. And I think maybe in conclusion, as a closeout to the 3 modules, I think we've covered setting up your business, those principal rules of executing. We know we want to do online marketing to get you going because that's the most cost-effective way of executing out there. And the sales process, unpacking that in its simplest form, the way we know it succeeds. And if you take those 3 layers and make your own, you will adjust them. There's filter is your best way. There is no question that you will at least have the foundation of being out there and be able to be successful in what you attempt to do. We really look forward to the Q&A session with you guys. It's going to be a pleasure to help to see all of you succeed out there. I mean, we really want to actually help you in doing that. So thanks very much. Thank you for the time. Thanks.